Well, I hope it doesn't stay like that this whole video. How you doing? Thanks for tuning in. I'm so glad you're here. We're gonna spend another day in the shop making it work. Taking whatever comes our way, making the best of every situation, keeping a smile on our face. Truck is looking good. Got a lot more sanding to do though. Those are project truck videos. I apologize. I tend to intermix them because I'm excited to at least be getting the truck painted now. Now that I've decided to do it, I'm all gung-ho. It's getting a little crazy on this side, but you'll see those videos coming up here soon. Appreciate you being patient while it's slow. The channel's doing really well. We're getting a lot of views and a lot of watch time. New subscribers are doing pretty good. I wish I could show you something a little better, but for right now it's just a little slow. We're doing what we can do to make things happen and keep pushing, keep rowing, because the banjos get slightly loud when it's slow, and it seems like the busier it is, the further away they are. Anyway, beautiful morning, 68 degrees. We got a bunch of rain last night, which we needed. Hope it's nice where you're at. We needed the rain bad. We're starting to get pop-up fires and things, and all of a sudden the last 4 or 5 days it rained twice, so that helps a lot. This time of year, we're usually saying, man, when is it gonna rain? And then once it does start raining, it'll rain almost every day. But hope you're getting the weather you like by you to keep your plants and grass growing nice. Babbling, babbling, babbling brook. Oh, I got a new shirt, by the way. Feel me? It'll be in the Sticker Mule store soon. They send me like a test sample or two, and once I think I like them, then I put them in the Sticker Mule store. So just stickermule.com/JMIW if you want to check those out and get yourself some swag. All right, let's finish getting this place open up. Stop flapping. See what we can do to make it work today. Stay tuned. I drove this Terrain in the shop. There was so many lights on, I thought it was Christmas. I think it's a 26 GMC Terrain. Let's get this hooked up, get that key chime off, and see why the lights are on. All right. Thank you. Oh, more key chime. It's like cowbell. You can't get enough. Gas is almost gone, and all the lights are on. I had to shut the radio off because I got in the car. It was like this. And I don't want to get a copyright strike, so I turned it off. Whoop, come on. The kickstand's not treating me right on this wheel. Some steering wheels, the kickstand doesn't work to my advantage. I don't understand it. And there's no place to put it with the drinks and stuff, and the love rating of 2. Drinks and food, that hurts. 2016. Let's see if we can get that thing to stay up there. Oh, wait. I want to look at transmission temp data too. Someone asked about it, and I keep forgetting to show it. I apologize. We're going to do it on this one because it's been kind of slow, so you get kind of out of a rhythm. We need to work on having some more rhythm. Health report. First, I'm going to go in, pull all the codes, see why all those pesky lights are on. I mean, it looks just like that with the engine running too. I'll send a report, and then we'll go over some codes. And we'll look at some data. Look at all of those codes. That's a heated oxygen sensor, heated oxygen sensor. Those two are current. Normally on something like that, I'll just check the fuses real quick, make sure because there is a fuse for the heater in the O2. This is a different sensor. Circuit low voltage, passed and failed. Idle speed low. Usually means a gummed up throttle body or something like that. An air leak sometimes can cause that. Although that would normally cause high. I would venture to say more along the lines of a dirty air filter, something like that, or a dirty throttle body. Electronic control unit hardware, current. Uh-oh. That is not a good look for an ABS module. Battery voltage codes, lighting codes, like crazy in here. Tire pressure sensor, low voltage. That usually means the sensors are tired. Global positioning system, short to ground. So it's not getting power to it. It always blames the ground when the voltage is low. Kind of strange. If the voltage is high, then it says short to power because there's no ground. I hope that kind of makes sense. That's just a generic, the way it normally works. Not always. You have to test. Test, don't guess. Unless guessing's really cheap. Let's go ahead and send a report. We're going to take a look under the hood, see what kind of shape the battery's in. It sounds like a lot of potentially battery related codes and probably an ABS module problem. Unless that code's set because of a weak battery too. Transmission data. Uh-oh. Yeah, it's that one. Let's look at data, see if we have temperature for this vehicle. What I was telling the viewer that asked about that, sometimes the manufacturer doesn't let the aftermarket see the transmission fluid temperature. Transmission control module power up temperature, transmission control module temperature. So those are potentially what you're looking for. Transmission fluid temperature. Look at all of them, see if everything agrees. 156, 159, 147, so they're all pretty similar. If the TCM is inside the transmission and that sensor is inside the transmission, they should be about the same temperature. Could be one's in a higher location or a lower location, so they won't agree 100%, but they should be close. If one says 42 degrees and one says 160, you have a problem. So for doing transmission services, you definitely are supposed to see exactly what the temperature is for the fluid level to be to perfection. And I've seen transmissions come in 3 quarts low before they start misbehaving, or a couple of quarts over, and they'll push fluid out the vent when they get hot and they'll think they have a transmission leak. So in my personal opinion, getting the transmission fluid to within a ½ ounce of sheer perfection is a little bit of overkill. Generally, when you do a transmission service, you're going to get paid 0.8 or 1 hour. And to wait for this thing to warm up and to drive it to heat it up and all after you work on it, it could take an hour. So generally what I do, I literally will put my hand near the transmission pan or on the transmission pan, depending on how hot I think it might be. And if it's a little uncomfortable to touch, where it's noticeably like hot water kind of temperature, then your fluid temperature is good to check the level. So the scan date is nice, and that's really the 100% proper way to do it. But there are workarounds if you have a little experience that you can adapt, overcome, and make it work. Let's go look under the hood. After clearing the codes, those are the ones that came back. EBCM hardware failure and tire pressure sensor issues. Flashlight down. Call a medic. Well, I'm trying to drown out the music in the background, but got a new battery in it. So a lot of those battery related codes were probably because of that. That's why they didn't come back when I cleared them. So we're gonna have to get into an ABS diag, I believe, here. I'm gonna do digital vehicle inspection, and then we will see how deep they want to get into this ABS issue. That's the main code. The auction filming over here, trucker guy. The main O2 sensor codes, they're not going to come back unless the car gets driven, but I'm sure they'll come back too. I am going to look at those fuses like I mentioned for the heater, and we'll make sure those are okay. Not the easiest fuse lid to read, but GM is nice enough to label them for you. So 41 and 43 are O2 sensor pre and post. Let's get a test light. I've got the key on still. Let's see. They hide them pretty good. Oh, there they are. 41 right here and 43. They're right here and here. So this should be these guys. Huh. That's interesting. I can make sure that I left the key on. I think I did. Gonna look awfully silly if the key's not on. I bet you I shut it off. Because I was worried it would have a weak battery and the battery would be dead by the time I got out there. I shut it off. Alright, now the key is on. The fuses are good. Very, very high. 49 out of 50 times you're going to have a bad O2 sensor with that code, but you really should put a voltmeter down there on the heater, power and ground, and see if it's got good power and ground. You have a bad O2. I'm gonna see if I can get into the EBCM or ABS module, and we'll try that next. See if I can talk to it. It had a code for hardware problem, but read fault code, DTC display. This cycle passed and failed, current. That's a hard fault. So it's mad about something. It's very upset about something. Anti-lock braking data. Let's bring up some data, work the brake pedal a little bit, see if it's not doing something. It's kind of strange. Setting that code but communicating. Alright, settle down. Anti-lock brake, pump motor voltage. We're going to look at some brake fluid level sensor, position sensor, pressure sensor, wheel speed sensors. We can bring those up too. Let's see here. Pump motor voltage 0. I think it's only going to work the pump when we're braking, so we're going to have to try that. Brake pedal position sensor, I'm not on the brakes. Now when I push the brakes, active. Brake fluid level's okay. Pressure sensor 0.78. I push a little harder, that should go up. It does. Kind of strange, that's all seems to be working. Let's go like this. We'll bring up just the wheel speed sensors. I'm going to back up and go forward. You guys watch the shouldn't have to go far. Alright, I know there's a lot of stuff going on. You're gonna be okay. You're gonna be okay. Relax. Relax. Going straight back and forward. Some cars 3 miles an hour it takes to activate, some 8 miles an hour. Some seem to read right off the bat, so I know I got good. Oop, this thing's not running good right there. Whoa, 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 whoa. What the heck? Whoa, that's unusual. It looks a little bit like a circus right now, but trust me, I'm going to get this scan tool to stay somewhere up here. That makes me want to go back and look at ECM data without turning the key off, or ECM codes, see what reset. That was very strange. That was almost like a mass air intake problem that reared its ugly head. Customer didn't say anything about problems with that, by the way. They said my lights are on the dash. They didn't mention that it stalls and shakes and runs rough. Let's see, we got new codes. Heated O2 came right back. Idle speed low came right back. Okay. Something going on with an O2 sensor making it lean out maybe. We'll have to go under the hood and take a look at those. That's the biggest problem I could see right now. The way this thing ran just then, that was spooky. I wouldn't want to be on the road with that. Alright, this thing, it's either losing fuel pressure or something's going on with those O2 codes. Because I've seen these things where the O2 will just kind of lean this thing out till it stalls. I've also seen high pressure fuel pumps that the fuel pressure just starts dropping off and it shuts off because of that. The gas gauge is really low. Could be just running out of gas. Let's bring up some data for the fuel pumper doodle and the O2 doodle. The EBCM code is kind of strange. I can see all my data, but that code sets because it sees an internal problem it doesn't like. Could be that it doesn't have the ability to run the pump motor or something like that, but 54 out of 54 times it's the EBCM needing to be replaced, and then a few times programming fixes the module, which is kind of strange. I wouldn't suspect programming would unless the programming tells it not to pay attention to something that's a problem. I don't let's just take a look at this engine data, figure out that weird stalling problem first. Fuel pressure, fuel rail pressure, regulator command, high control command, and everything's worded slightly different from one brand to the next. So to make sure you're on the right data PID sometimes takes a little search and destroy. Fuel rail pressure sensor 1900 psi. What? Now you don't want to ever see this at like 70, 80, 90%. If it's doing that at idle, it's definitely have a hard time keeping up with fuel demand. This is the low pressure data PID. Fuel rail pressure regulator command 42 degrees. I would assume that's the distance of time it's open. I'm not sure. There's a solenoid on the high pressure pump to control how much pressure it delivers. So you can see this right here, about 500 to 600 is where most vehicles will work correctly. I haven't looked the specification up yet. See how the degree picks up and the fuel pressure picks up. So that's seems to be working the way I'd expect. And look how low that gas gauge is. It's just kicking out a little bit right there. And it's acting like it's running out of gas. It's picking up the fuel pressure here big time, and it's still stalled. Let's try unplugging that O2 sensor. Or let's do this. Instead of unplugging it first, let's go into unselect. We'll bring up some data PIDs for the O2 sensor and take a look at that when it happens. Alright, I've got my primary O2, which is the front one, my secondary O2, which is after the cat, my fuel trim long, my fuel trim short. Put them in graph, I guess. That'd be the best way. I like graph. This is not right here. Hit the brakes a couple times. Comes right down. Of course, it hasn't acted up yet. We're gonna let it run a minute or two. It didn't take too long to act up before. We'll see if it'll act up again. This is what I would expect to see. This one is not what I would expect to see. Make sure I have the right data PID. We'll hunt around a little bit more. And that's my only oxygen sensor data PID I can find. 1.14, you can see the standard range is 0 to 1.1. And it's showing it in red, saying, hey man, I don't like the way that looks. I'll rev the engine a little bit. Give it a few pumps of the gas. It moves. That is pretty odd. I wish it hasn't happened either. It's been running a few minutes, so I may have to get in there and unplug that O2 sensor and take it for a drive, see if it runs okay. It'll put it in default fuel strategy. It'll stop paying attention to what the O2 has to say about the whole situation. And if it runs good, it probably has a bad O2. I don't really need the fuel rail pressure sensor. I brought it up to try to watch it happen and see what happened with the fuel rail pressure sensor, but we kind of already saw that try to climb up when the engine wanted to stall. Let's run this a few minutes and see just how radical this number changes when the problem happens. I really need to wait for it to happen to prove out my theory that O2 may be causing the issue. Well, I checked for gas in the oil and all that stuff. Sometimes these high pressure pumps will leak gas into the crankcase and make it have a false rich signal and that kind of thing. But I'm not seeing anything wrong with that. The oil actually looks pretty full and clean, like it was changed recently, which might skew that test. Usually you just pull a dipstick out and smell it, you'll smell gas, but not the case. I'm gonna let it run. I gotta let this thing run. It's gotta do it again. Basically what I want to see is if this front O2 sensor in blue, which shows lower, but the blue graph and the orange graph, the blue one corresponds to the blue line and the numbers don't match. So you got to pay attention to that. I combine it just because it's larger that way. But you can also uncombine it if you want to do them all separately. And it also shows down here the minimum and maximum number that each one has done. It's kind of strange the fuel trims are both stuck at 0 as well. Not sure why that's happening. It should have gone in a closed loop. Maybe because it doesn't like what it sees there. But if I see this O2 start to go up and the orange one come down, which means it'll be trying to lean it out intentionally, then I know that front O2 sensor is bad. But right now it's not doing anything. We're gonna let it run. I might even have to clear codes and try it again so it'll do fuel trims. All right, I cleared codes. We got a lot more activity. We got fuel trims. And this is kind of going all over the place. It's trying to get it to work. It's adding fuel, taking away. Pretty radical swings too because of that. This is about where I'd expect to see it, about 0.7 from the post-cat. It's pulling out fuel a little bit here. Pulling out fuel. It leaned out, it responded. Now it jumped back up to 1 volt. I'm going to say there's definitely something going on with that O2. I still want to confirm it though. I'm going to let it run a little longer, and if something happens, I'll show you. Pull the dipstick out just to let some fresh air in there. Didn't seem to make a difference. And one thing's for sure, if the running out of gas theory was correct, it would have done it by now, I would think. But if I let it run much longer, it is going to really run out of gas. So we're kind of in a conundrum, we call it. Well, it's been a while, about 15-20 minutes, and I'm going to run her out of gas here in a minute. I can't get to do it. So this is the point where we go up front and go, do you want to take this thing up and get gas? You want to bring it back when it happens again? You want to, what do you want to do? Give me some guidance. What's up? Since I cleared codes, though, at least we got activity. Went back into fuel trim. Everyone seems happy. Let's see what's going to happen with this car, because we've got an hour in it already, believe it or not. Of course, we did verify the EBCM, either programming or replace. Pretty cut and dry. Everything's all working. I can see some data, but it's mad. TPMS sensors have weak batteries, 3 of them, and then this problem. So, and gas. Also needs tires. Also needs a wiper. Got issues. It's like on the plastic. That's no good. Needs some work. Oh, broken down 2015 Chevy Malibu? Say it ain't so. Chevys don't ever break. Saw it in a Chevy forum. Customer said the tow truck guy jump-started it for her. We're gonna take a quick look. I'm guessing dead battery. What do you think? I'm not certified in this one, so I gotta take a class. Oh, there it is. Something over here probably. Oh, there it is. I figured it out. That's batteries. We used to sell Napa batteries. Now we sell Interstate. 2010. I thought it was a 2015. It's got 125,000 loving miles and a fancy steering wheel cover. Love it. Love rating of 4. And I'm gonna get the battery tester right now. Now let's take a look at this battery test we said. Battery test, regular flooded, cold cranking amps. Oh, 600, but that might be about right for this car. If you hold the button, it'll just go faster, won't it? Let's do that. Enter. I started and drove it in, but it didn't sound happy about it. Oh, the health of the Fast and Furious, bro. Why would you do that to a nice Acura? Anyway, 1%. So, got a bad battery. And she drove it in after they jump started it. I bet you it's charging. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna live on the edge just to get comments going. I'm gonna put a battery in it, and then I'll check the charging system afterwards. That's not the right way to do it, by the way. But hopefully it'll generate some comments. I know a couple of guys will jump right in there to let me know I'm stupid and wrong. It brought me a died hard. We're gonna replace our Napa battery with one from AutoZone. That's cool. I'm down. 10 millimeter and 13 millimeter. Uh-oh. That didn't feel right. $13mm for the hold down. We're going to check the charging system when I'm done, just to see if my hunch was right. It's an emergency. It's interesting. Want these all the way down so they'll tighten good. These terminals are super sketch. Not these particular ones. This design is Bill and Bob creation that I can't quite comprehend. There's some purpose to it. easier robot assembly. I don't know. At least it's not dead. It's a 12.4. It's only partially discharged. The new battery is no good. Let's fire it up. Charging test. 14.7 volts. No ripple. Boom. I'm gonna let this run about 15-20 minutes and run through that battery test again. It just wasn't fully charged, but that's basically how it works. It started the car right up. It does have a 3-year warranty on it too. Let's try this again. Well, that's not good. I'm gonna have to have him get me another battery. That's good stuff, man. You gotta... Yep. Out. In. Do, 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 do. Let go. One more try. Hey. Battery test. Regular flooded. Full cranking amp. 600. This is from Mark, so it's not that old. Replace 20% health. Something wrong with my tester. That was a waste of time. Oh well. We'll do it again, just for fun. 12.5. Got a really good connection. Pull cranking amp's 590, that doesn't matter. Enter. Do 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 do. BNFco. 20%. You know you want one. High performance, comfort, and economy all wrapped up in one. I present to you the Toyota Prius. 2013, only 100,000 miles, and it feels like the transmission slips or something, and a bunch of lights came on the dash. I just put the air on because it's like 140 degrees inside here. All the windows up, and the sun is out. Alright, you're gonna make me... Oh, I feel something. There it is. There it is. Never mind. I thought I was gonna have to crawl in front of the seat there for a second. And I just ate lunch. That's not a good recipe. Bad stuff might happen. What do you guys think? You want to do a diagonal? It's pretty clean. Let's put this up. Let's raise the temperature so the fan settles down a little bit. Didn't settle the fan down yet. Check hybrid system. Stop the vehicle in a safe place. Check engine lights on. I think that's a telltale for stability system. The triangle of death, although it's yellow. The red triangle is the really bad triangle of death. It's not an EV still, it's a hybrid. It's the same but different. Let's get these two hooked up, see if they're going to get along, and then we'll take a look at some codes and see why all those lights are on. I'm going to give it a love rating of 7. It's pretty clean. I would have guessed a lot more than 100,000 miles though, but 16 pin North America. Oh boy. We got some codes. We got a generator control module, DC to DC converter performance, current and pending. DC to DC current performance in the hybrid module, generator control module, DC to DC. Wow. I'm starting to think we got some kind of a DC to DC converter issue. HV-EV control system regenerative malfunction and HV-EV system malfunction. Inlet damper control servo motor in history, so that's not a big concern. No codes in the engine and ECT modules, but these other codes named similarly EOBD2. Interesting. Let's send a report. We'll bring up some data and take a look and see what it's mad about. It says 106 on the clock and 161 on the dash, which that's been happening a lot lately. It rarely seems to have the accurate mileage. Is everyone messing with their odometers, or is the computer picking the wrong information? Anyway, let me send this. We'll come back and take a look at some data. One of the first things I want to look at is how long since the codes were cleared last. And that distance is 1,700 miles. Someone has worked on it. That is a data PID you can always find. Almost every car, it'll tell you distance. They even have engine runtime since DTC cleared. Could tell you how long it's been run with the light on. I want to look for anything to do with the DC to DC converter. I might have to go into, yeah, I'm gonna have, this is OBD2. I tried it because that's what was up. It was easy, but it doesn't show me the data I want. So we're gonna go into the hybrid control, just a separate module, data stream, and it does special functions, actuation tests. I can energize things, force it to do certain things it might only do at other times. I could turn this down a little colder now. Fan settled down a little bit. Auxiliary battery low, last operation, last trip, battery temperature, auxiliary. This is the 12 volt battery. Backup lamp relay, backpack current value. This is the individual cells in the main battery. So if there's a problem in the battery, you can use this data to figure out which cell is bad. The cells are actually stacked in order. I forget how many there is, and they're about 7.7 volts each, roughly. 7.8, depending on their condition. That's how you get to the 330 volts. So if you want to divide 330 by 7.8, it tells you roughly how many cells are in there. I forget. Matter of fact, I can look right here instead of guessing. Oh, these battery blocks, these are 2. I believe there's 2 per block. So 28 cells, I guess? I thought it was more than that. Converter fail, gate status. I mean, there's tons of data. Let me find the data that's going to help us out, and we'll see what it's doing right now, because the code says current. That means it's doing it all the time. It's doing it right now. I can look at things like inverter temperature, different categories. Inverter temperature MG1 max, MG2 max, inverter temperature after ignition on. Shows you that they've warmed up a little bit while I've had it running. Let's bring up some of these battery blocks. I'll show you what I'm talking about. That's what you want to see. 16 or so volts. This is with the engine running. If I turn the engine off, they'll go down a little bit. But so it's roughly 8 volts per cell, and there's 2 cells per block. So since we saw 14, there's 28 cells. Anyway, let's go back in here. Let's see what the max converter temp was. 143. That's not too bad. See if we can find our DC to DC inverter. Converter status voltage 3.79 volts. Converter tar pulse duty 58%. That I'm not sure what the numbers are supposed to be. I'll probably have to look up some data, see what we should expect versus what we actually see in the data PID. If I had desired an actual, I wouldn't need to do any checking on that, but I don't remember offhand. HV ECU intermittent problems. Now you can look at the resistance of the different battery blocks too. 0.02. That's just something to compare one to another. If you had a bad one, you'd see one of them had be open, and it would have higher resistance. It would have either all up arrows like a voltmeter would do, something like that. You're basically just comparing the blocks and the cells to each other, and if one stands out as unusual, that's where you're going to investigate. But you got to take all that apart to get to the main battery and back. I believe that's where the hybrid module is. There's a lot of stuff going on in these cars. They're great little cars. They're really good on gas. You'll get 50-60 miles per gallon, but if something goes wrong, any money you saved on gas is out the window. I do see these with 300,000 or 400,000 miles on them occasionally, They're bad for head gaskets if you don't service the coolant like you're supposed to. The head gaskets will quickly go bad because the engine cycles so many times with it shutting on and off all the time. It drives like an electric car sometimes and a gasoline car sometimes. And that heating and cooling, along with coolant aging, really dooms the head gaskets. It's 100,000 miles. It probably hasn't needed it yet, but I usually see these by around 150 they need head gaskets. Unless someone's been really good about doing the coolant, flushing the coolant, then they'll go 300, 400,000 miles without problems. But most people don't do it. They think about it and they want to, and that's what really counts. Except when the head gasket goes, I'm done. HVECU. Let's just take a quick look at that. I'm going to go inside, look up these codes, and narrow down my search window a little bit. I'm hunting and pecking right now. I might even edit some of this rambling out because it's just kind of silly because I'm bored and we're slow. He said, do you want to work on this one? I said, whatever you need done, I'm your guy. I don't complain. I just do the work. Well, I complain to you guys, but not to them. Main battery request. Main battery low voltage trip before last, 11. I wonder what that means. What do you think? Couldn't have been 11 volts. Inverter fail off, shutdown off. So that means it's okay with the inverter. I'm going to go inside, look up these codes. I wrote them down in my notes, and we're going to make sure of what direction to go next. I also got to do my inspection on this vehicle, and then we'll come back. Let's talk a minute. You got a second? Let's hang out. We got an extended warranty on these. Apparently there's so many inverter failures, which is kind of what I was thinking it was going to be, but it was just a hunch. I went in and looked up the service bulletin for these codes, found this recall. They've extended the warranty out 15 years, 150,000 miles. So it'll get fixed for free at Toyota as long as the parts are available, not back ordered or something. But codes POA94, POA1A, POA1A, POA94, first two codes. They have to replace the inverter converter, which is the thing on top of the transmission. You pull some main cables off. It's really not that hard to do. Matter of fact, in the testing I was reading, it says to replace it with a known good one and retest. That's their testing. So when these codes set, it's an internal module failure, and the diagnosis part of it is out the window because it diagnosed itself. And it's saying, hey, I need help. A little help, please. But everything on here looks pretty good right now. I wonder if I clear the codes if they'll stay out. But I don't want to do that and have the dealership get it and not see all our codes there. So I think this one's going to end up going to the dealer. I got to go up front, talk to them all about it, and see what they say. Oh, look, Snap-on's got their quarter drive flexi handle ratchet on sale, $126. Well, no, wait, that's not on sale. That's new products. It wasn't available before. I thought it was. I thought I remember seeing that. Maybe a different brand. Penlight, $60. Well, there's nothing going on. Let's take a look. I do like those pliers. I either have a set or I had a set. I don't remember if I sold them or not. Might have been among the Snap-on tools I sold. Anything that held its value real well, I sold. And then anything I couldn't get a decent amount of money back, I kept. Snap-on hammers. Look at this. Menu number 1, menu number 2, menu number 3. From our floor to your door. There's no prices. That's a little confusing. Okay. What else we got? Multimeter. Traditional digital multimeter. That's actually come way down. I had the Snap-on multimeter with the color screen, and it was like $650 or something like that. These are actually really good tools, but they're just so expensive, $730. What else we got? 18-volt half-inch drive Monster Lithium Impact, $1,112. Go ahead, take my money. The air gun, $721. That's not as bad. Now that is a toolbox for a really good mechanic, Mr. Big. Place your bets in the comments what that costs. I'll start off. I'm going to say $75,000. MSRP. What do you guys think? What else we got? That's it. There's not a lot this month. Is this weekly or monthly? May. This is monthly. Not a lot. I didn't get on a truck. I was a little busy painting the hood of my project truck. You want to see? There's not much to do. The bottom kind of dropped out. Prius is going back to the dealer. I'll show you what I did on the truck. Really quick epoxy prime. I had it all down to the metal and sprayed it with my spray gun. Epoxy primer because it looked like it was going to start raining, and sure enough, just as the paint got dry where I could touch it, water drops. A lot of these are water drops, so got it done just in time. There's not going to be much else going on today, guys. We're going to be closing up here soon, so we'll start cleaning up. I'm going to clean some of my tools up and call it a day. Appreciate you watching. Another slow day. I think we're headed towards the worst week I've ever had here, but we'll see. We still got tomorrow, and you never know, because this time of year you could have 3 days in a row with nothing to do, and then you have 3 days in a row where you can't keep up. So hopefully tomorrow will be a busier day. If nothing else, at least I'll get to make some good content, I hope. We'll try our best. Torque the like button before you head out. Subscribe if you're new and you want to see real life mechanics in a real shop doing their job. That's what I do. No studios here. I should make a shirt. No studio setting shop here. Thanks for watching, guys. Hope I see you in the next video, because you're awesome.